Hello folks in the King Heathen lair. We're going to talk about Adam and Eve today. So, I've grabbed my Holy Bible, King James Version, my personal favorite, and let's give you a little background. Alright, I talked about the creation story already. Check out the old video. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail. I want to try and wrap this up as quickly as possible because there's a lot to talk about in the little bitty 10 minutes that I have. But, basically, here's what happens. In the fifth day, God makes all the creatures, most of the creatures, not all of them, but he makes most of the creatures, all the fish and all the birds, all on the fifth day. And then on the sixth day, he brings forth the living creature after his kind. Now, I'm not sure why the fish and the fowl weren't living, but he brings forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping things and beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. So he brings forth all this stuff on the sixth day. Right after that, he makes man. Now, all of this is on the sixth day. But the important part, what we're going to come back to, is the fact that is line number 20 here, verse 20 in Genesis 1. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." So he made birds, men. Okay, now we get to Genesis 2. Several important things that we're going to talk about here, but question number one, it opens up talking about the Sabbath. Okay, so they're in the Sabbath, and he's talking about 7 days. I'm done, and let's move on now and do the rest of the world. So, are we on the 8th day right now? One would presume so. We went from day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now in Genesis 2, we're not picking up from Genesis, first chapter of Genesis. Where it's the 7th day, and we're coming into the second half of the 7th day, where God says, "Okay, I won't take the whole day off." No, Genesis 2 starts off with the fact that the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. Okay, finished. So, 7th day he rests. Move on forward here a little bit in the into verse 5, and he says that there's plants and then there's herbs and all this other good stuff. But there was not a man to till the ground. There's not? It says right there in verse number 26 that let us make man in our image and our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over the creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. 27, so God created man. One says he didn't, one says he did. Okay, so let's move on. There was not a man to till the ground. Maybe he made man, but just not one who was willing to till the ground. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, Christians, y'all tell me. I don't get it. Are we on the 8th day, or are we still on the 6th day? Because I'm confused. Alright, so up comes a mist from the ground, they water the face of the earth, and he forms a man from the dust of the ground, and breathes life into his nostril, the breath of life, the man became a living soul. Alright, so now he's made man on the either 6th day or 8th day, we don't know. That's not even the big part. You know what, that's not even the one that I want to concentrate on. That's not the part that really grates my nerves. Let's move forward. Alright, so here's all these trees, and here comes the tree of knowledge. I'm going to talk about this one in my next one. My next one is going to be about how God set us up to fail. He knew we were going to fail. He did it on purpose. But he sets up the tree of evil right there in the middle of the Garden of Eden. There's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, it talks about the rivers that are around the garden, and moving on down to 15, he tells Adam to take care of his garden. Alright, 16 tells him he can eat what he wants, except for in 17, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, don't leave that alone, or else you'll surely die. Now, let's make sure we don't take anything out of context, right? Because I know that's what you're taking out of context. Alright, are we taking anything out of context in verse number 17? But the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. In that day. Adam lives for 900 years. Didn't die that day. God is a liar. Everybody's always said, oh no, he just meant that he would die eventually. I repeat, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Why didn't God say, you'll give up your immortality? Would have made more sense, right? Would have made a lot more sense. And we wouldn't be having this conversation if God had just spoken clearly. He is omnipotent, right? He knows everything. He sees everything. He can see into the future. The whole deal. He should be able to figure out that if he had just said, you'll give up your immortality, we wouldn't be having this conversation. All right. Of course, Adam couldn't have known what death was because nothing's died yet. So what was the threat? Oh, and if he died, he only go to heaven. So, again, what was the threat? All right, so, Adam here now. Keep in mind now, in the first chapter, man and woman are made on the same day. So we're still in day number 6. If you think that the first one is still true, if you think that there's something more open to that, well, okay, whatever. But we're still in the same day. God gets a little, or Adam gets a little bit lonely, and God says, you know what? You're right. It is not good that a man should be alone. So he brings forth all the beasts. Now, remember, he's already made all these things. Now he's going to do it again. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air. Wait a minute. He created every fowl of the air on the 5th day. We're at the absolute least on the 6th day. Another contradiction. Alright, so he wants to see what Adam's going to call him. Now, nothing is new under the sun. That's a verse later on in the Bible. Adam has to name every single thing on the earth. Do you know how many species there are? Do you know how many different versions of just beetles there are? And why couldn't Adam spell aardvark a little bit easier? What language was he spelling aardvark in? What language was he doing any of these things in? Who the hell was he talking to? Okay, anyway, moving on. So he gives all the names of the cow and the fowl, the air and the beast, and but he ain't happy. He don't look around in that sheep, although there are certain people in certain parts of the South that would have been perfectly fine with the sheep. Adam didn't like the sheep. He says, you're going to have to do a little bit better, God. Alright, now, God poofed the earth. He poofed the sun. He poofed the stars. He poofed all the other creatures out of the ground. He had to make Adam from dust, and now he's got to rip a rib out of Adam to make woman. This is where it gets really, really freaky. Alright, so he takes the rib from Adam, and he makes woman. Verse number 23, 2nd chapter of Genesis. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. They were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Now, maybe you didn't catch it. Let me repeat. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother. Shall a man leave his father and his mother? Adam didn't have a father and a mother. Help me out. Adam didn't have a father and a mother. Can someone please explain that for me? He didn't have a father and a mother. How does he know what a father and a mother is? Or is God talking now? Did God already know that he was going to eat off that damn tree and he was going to have kids and they will be fathers and mothers?